Yes, everyone, welcome back to the Highs and Lows podcast. Today, we're doing something very different. We're here today with Andres. He's currently running a consulting business and he is smashing it, right? You used to, just remind me, Andres, you used to manage over $3 million
Yeah,
a
me
month
and my business partner Yash, we managed a company doing an Inc. 5000 company doing $3.5 million a month, cash collected, all the sales,
Awesome.
operations, revenue, everything.
Lovely, bro. Yeah, well, that shows. And just so the audience knows as well, Andres, how old are you?
17.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And you're killing it. You're killing it. It just shows age is just a number, bro. Age is just
It
a
is.
number. But I mean, for everyone out there who's wondering about your journey of how you got to where you are today, right? Just give us a background check about your growing up, how it was like growing up playing football, because I know you played soccer.
Yeah,
You call it in America. And tell us a bit about your from like
for
I don't know
sure.
the age of 5 to now.
Yeah, so brief kind of synopsis. I grew up in a very like kind of easy childhood, I guess you could say. I got a middle class family, loving parents, sports, like all of it. And eventually there came a point where I think when you never have to struggle and you never have to worry about like, oh, where am I going to get food tomorrow? Like, where am I going to live? You never have that worry. You never develop the mental toughness to actually like do great things. And I think that's a very common issue in society. So kind of past that point, because both of my parents were engineers and professors and stuff, I was naturally like a bit more intelligent, you could say. And so through high school and stuff, I never felt like I fit in with everybody else. And I think naturally when you feel like you don't fit in, even if you're better than everybody else, you always assume you're worse because you're not like in the group. And so through that, eventually like feeling inferior, feeling like I wasn't enough, feeling sad or whatever it was, I needed to find like an outcome or like a vehicle to, in my mind, become better than. And so at the beginning, that became soccer or football, you would call it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so that's when I started like playing it more seriously. And I would practice on the pitch 4 or 5 hours a day alone on top of the team practices and everything else. And I got up to the semi-pro level, but then a month into that, I ended up getting injured. And so I split my ulna, my radius, straight in half, twisted 180 degrees backward, and like bent to the side. And so that put me out for like 9 months. And my first game back, I get the exact same injury again. Both of them clean cut. And that was another 9 months. And so in that period, it was a period of like realizing I didn't want to be with those old people I used to be with, like just partying or drinking or doing drugs. I didn't want to do that. But I also didn't know where to channel that energy, like what that next level was for me, until eventually I figured out it was business. And so that kind of got me started in this entire journey from the beginning. That would be like the brief 1-minute synopsis, if you will.
Yeah, that's awesome, bro. Like myself, bro. You know, is it? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can. It's perfect.
Cool. It's lagging from my side, but I mean, from my experience, bro, sport has taught me a lot as well. Like I'm guessing it did for you, right?
Yeah,
Awesome,
100%.
awesome. I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, it's lagging. Your face is like stopped, but we'll just
It
keep
records
talking.
it. It records it internally, so even if you see me lagging, it'll record it perfectly fine on my
Yeah,
end.
that's awesome. Awesome. So, I mean, either way, we got an external camera in there,
Yeah.
so that's all good. But yeah, I mean, look, what football was kind of the wake up call for you, would you say?
Yeah, I think so, 100%. It gave me somewhere to like channel energy and like a way for me to feel like I was like doing better.
Yeah.
Because before it was always like I didn't feel like I fit in, but there's no way for me to like push forward or no like next level for me. And
Yeah,
football gave
yeah.
me that kind of space, that area to nurture the competitiveness and like be better than other people.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And I mean, so was that when you were what, 15, 16?
Yeah, 15 and 16, and that's when I first got into business when I was 16 as well.
Awesome, bro. So you've been doing business for around a year now.
1.5 years, yeah.
Awesome, bro. And what you're currently a CEO of a consulting business that you're currently running. Give us a
Yeah.
bit of background about that, bro.
Yeah, so essentially at that Inc. 5000 company, when we were running all the sales operations and revenue and everything, when my business partner Yash first went into the company, they were doing around like $600,000 a month. And then obviously before we left, they had their peak month ever, which was $3.5 million cash collected. And so we started realizing like, damn, we're actually pretty good at this, right? And so we started taking those systems and the processes that we built and the way that we train the team and manage them, and started implementing it into other businesses between like 500K a month to like 1.5 million a month, helping them get to the 3. And so that's the consulting business that we started, and we started about like 40 days ago. And I think we've done around like 70K profit so far, like myself. And so that's kind of where it's at now. Obviously it's a bit newer, but yeah.
Yeah, and just for people wondering, even myself, right, what exactly do you implement into these type of businesses, and how does it work?
Yeah, so the biggest thing I hate in companies is you'll have people that they call themselves sales managers, and they'll go into a business and they'll be like, you do this, you do this, do this, do this, do that, but they've never even taken a sales call in the first place. They have no clue what they're talking about. And so what we do differently is Yash and I will go into these businesses, we'll sell the offer ourselves, get the conversion rates up, and then literally just document the process we just used, and then we'll recruit in a team. And so we have a couple one-on-one coaching clients that like pay us for sales training that are like sales reps. So they pay us like $4,000 a month, $3,000 a month, whatever. And so these are all killers. They all collect 3 to 500K a month. And then we'll bring them into those businesses with us. And then we'll start training them on the sales processes that we just created and just manage them on a day-to-day basis. And we basically just take over all the revenue operations. That's how we do it.
Awesome. And I mean, is it Yoshi, you say your business partner is?
Yeah, he's my business partner.
Is he 17 as well, or?
No, he just turned 20.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say 2 17-year-olds killing it. That'd be mental. But you've got someone there to look after you in a way, I guess.
Yeah.
That's awesome, bro. That's awesome.
Make sure I don't do anything too stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Learn from his mistakes, bro. But yeah. I mean, so with the consulting side, that's awesome, bro. So you go into their business, you do the sales for them, you close for them.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, just out of interest, bro, what is your? Because obviously everyone's got their different closing rates. Like, what's yours?
Bro, that's hard. Like, because it's changed in every company. I think. Okay, This is my answer. I think close rates are vanity metrics because a close rate isn't the same as cash collected. When I was collecting the most cash ever, I did not have the highest close rate. When I had the highest close rate, I was not collecting the most cash. There was a company where I had a 92% close rate, which is mental. That's absurd. Nobody has those kind of numbers. Yeah, but I wasn't collecting the most cash because my calls were 2 hours long. It was objection handling, it was everything, making sure everybody at least paid $1. Versus having a 30-minute call, because my skill set's a lot higher, being able to get them very emotional. If they buy, they buy. If they don't, a little bit of objection handling. And then I just go to the next person, do some more outbound dials, set more appointments, close more people. So like Yash, for example, when he was, and there's nobody else in the industry, to my knowledge, that's ever done this, he was making 100K a month in straight commissions when he was 18 years old at 12% commission. Yeah. All the other people online that have done 100K a month in commissions, it was always at like 20% or 25%, like absurd commission rates. He did it at 12%. He didn't have the highest close rate in the company. He had a 50% close rate, but he was collecting on average like $9,500 per sale up front. Okay. Which nobody else in the company was doing. There's people that have 70% close rate, but they were collecting 2K up front. So like, does the close rate really matter? I don't know. That's my perspective.
Bro, that's good, bro. I mean, I've been in the online business now for around just over 6 months, bro. I'm quite new to it. I know I've got quite a large following and stuff, but it's like I've learned a lot of stuff, bro. And I guess you have as well in the past year. But I was actually just gonna jump onto a quick something to talk about because I mean, with my journey and football, right, specifically football, soccer, right, is like a lot of guys put all their eggs in one basket, right? They think football is their die and end all, right? They get to 2021, they've got no skills, nothing at all, right? And one thing I found with a lot of these footballers and soccer players is they're not afraid to put they're afraid to put 20K into investing in themselves, right? But they're not afraid to put 5K into basically like they're not afraid to put 5K into like buying a table at a club sort of thing. Yeah. Right. And I guess for someone who's in your position, right, football's their main thing, right? They're trying to make it pro, but injuries have come and hit them. Similar to myself, what bit of advice would you give to someone like that in a dark place like you was?
I think you have to find a vehicle. And what I mean by that is like naturally as a footballer, you're going to have some level of energy. You're going to have some level of competitiveness at a fundamental level. I think men who play sports naturally are more competitive and automatically in a higher echelon than any other man. Because they like, if you think about it from day one, like there's also like ancient human culture, there's alpha males. There's people who are more competitive, who can fight. And I think that's to some degree what sports is. And that's why kids are so attracted to it in the first place, is because there's the sense of competitiveness. And so I think the most important part is channeling that into something new. Even if your dream is to play professional football, you still need to have somewhere to channel that energy and that competitiveness to nurture it while you're getting ready to get back on the pitch and recover. And so like for me, that became business, and eventually it was like, okay, I started too late, like I can't go pro anymore, so I just went all out on it. If you want to go pro, fair enough. But figure out a way to channel the energy. That would be my number one piece of advice, because if not, it'll drive you crazy, and it did for me. Like I would literally sit in bed and just be thinking like, what am I doing with my life? And I would just sit there like feeling sad, feeling depressed, just not doing anything. And that happened for weeks on end. And then that's when I realized, oh, like I need to figure something out. It was literally an Instagram reel that I saw while I was scrolling that made me get into business in the first place. And then obviously I became obsessed with it, and then that became my entire passion, and that's how I ended up making all the money I did. But
yeah, that's awesome, bro. I told you a bit about myself yesterday, bro. And I see it with a lot of guys, right? I got a lot of friends who are pros, played in the Prem sort of thing. So it's like that's their be all, like end all, you know what I mean? So by having that backup, well, not even a backup, right? I don't really believe in a backup in a way.
Yeah,
right?
no,
if you're gonna do something, you've got to go all in, right?
Exactly.
And I see that with a lot of guys, but especially with football, bro, as like same with your journey, bro, all it takes is one bad injury and your career, like even with mine, bro, your career can literally almost be over like that.
Yeah.
Right? So by getting into business, as you were saying, it's another way to channel their competitiveness, which is good.
Exactly.
Which is good, bro. And I think a lot of people like look up to that, I reckon. Right? And I know a lot of people are scared to do something else, but it's good, bro. Especially at your age as well. Even my age, bro. It's good. Like this mindset is something that you could definitely share and help a lot of footballers with. Like there's a lot of guys I've seen guys like literally, I don't want to name names, but like they just like wanted to end it, bro. Like generally they were like, they got released from their club after 10 years, bro. They knew nothing different. They didn't know what to do. Right? They didn't have a goal. They didn't have anything, bro. So it's a big thing, right? And as you said, bro, getting into business was probably saved you in a way. You know what I mean?
100% did.
Even me, it definitely saved me. Which is
like,
good.
bro, I should be in a classroom right now listening to a teacher. Like, I can't do that. Bro. I can't do that.
Same, bro. Same. It's one of them. It's one of them. But I mean, you're killing it now. You're killing it now. If you don't mind talking about it, bro, like what are you making at the moment? How's business going?
Yeah, in the past 40 days, I've done like 70K profit.
Okay, decent. Yeah, and that's purely from consulting.
Yeah, that's from starting the consulting business. That's just from that.
Awesome, bro. And I mean, I don't know if we mentioned at the beginning, but what kind of clients do you deal with?
It's mainly like SMBs between like 500K a month to like 1.5 million a month. It's kind of our sweet spot, because that's where like that's usually a very natural cap in a business. Like you grow, you're able to grow it a little bit, but then when you get to like 500, 700K a month is usually when you have to start hiring managers for different like positions. So now you need like an SDR manager, and you need like a sales manager for closers. Like that's when you start really needing to hire leadership and remove yourself from the business. And a lot of founders struggle with that. And so that's how we're able to kind of help support them, because since they already trust us, we can go in and manage those operations and allow them to like work on the business rather than in the day-to-day.
Awesome, bro. And I mean, this one's more for myself, but how did you actually like get into this in the first place?
Yeah, so 7th Level, the Inc. 5000 company, I got recruited into it by Yash, actually, now my business partner. Nice. He recruited me into it, and I just smashed it. Like I just smashed everybody, like just naturally. And so, like I was collecting more than the rest of my entire team combined at the same time. When I was that's back when I was 16. And all the other guys were like 20, 30, even like 40-year-olds, who had been in sales for like 15, 20 years. And so I was collecting more than all of them. I was working harder than any of them by far. It was 18 hours a day, 7 days a week for months on end. No breaks, no talking to anybody. And so once I got to that point where I was collecting more than everybody else, then naturally, like the president of the company, he came to me and he was like, can you start like managing and training everybody else, et cetera? And I was like, sure, why not? And so that's what I ended up doing.
Awesome, bro. And I mean, you did that all in the space of this year, pretty much.
Yeah, that was like 7 months from starting being there until managing all their operations and everything with Yash.
Yeah, that's serious, bro. That's serious. And I mean, you mentioned on the questions I asked you, but you don't. Do you enjoy sales? You actually said something.
No, I hate it.
You hate it, bro. That's
not
crazy.
a lot of people know this. I hate sales, but I'm a big believer in like, and a lot of people are gonna get pissed at this, and I frankly could not care at all any less. I don't think a guy or a man should care that much about his emotions or what he feels like doing in a moment, and I used to a lot. But the issue is like you have to focus on productivity, not on what you feel, but being productive. I was never like sales. I never fell in love with it, but I was good at it and I understood it, and so I had to force myself to do it. And I think fundamentally, most men can't even do something they like for an entire 18-hour workday. So if I can do something I don't even like for an entire 18-hour workday, I'm going to destroy them. They don't have a chance.
Yeah.
Because I have the work ethic and I have the mentality to back it up. And that's the number one thing missing from the world today is like people focus on what they feel. And if you think about it even from like a societal perspective, focusing on what you feel, that's why people end up drinking or going to parties or doing drugs because they're focused on the feeling, on the instant pleasure, rather than being a productive member of society. And so shifting that focus, even though I don't like sales, I can do it 18 hours a day, 7 days a week for months on end without talking to anybody else except for 30 prospects a day, right? So I'm just going to beat everybody else. Just naturally. And that's why I was able to get to the point where I'm at so quickly as a 17-year-old in a very short period of time is because I can force myself to do what it takes versus most people not only don't do what it takes, but they can't even do what they want to do for that long of a period of time.
I'll tell you what, I agree. I generally actually agree with you, especially like even with myself, bro. I've been doing it for 6 months, and I'll tell you what. Out of these 6 months, to be honest, I love what I do. Right? Don't get me wrong. I love because I do the fitness side. And I'm in the consulting space now as well. But
yeah, I
generally love helping people. Like that's one of my that's the part I love. Right? Sales is I don't mind sales. I think it's quite a cool skill to know. Right? Yeah. One thing I like to say is, if you're a homeless guy and you know how to sell, you'll never be homeless.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You'll get off the street in a few days.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it's one of them. But I mean, what you were saying there about doing something, like even though you don't feel like doing it, right? That's what's going to take you from there to there, and that's why you're 17 years old and you are where you are, right?
And don't get me wrong, like I'm 100% a believer in like figure out, like do what you have to do, but then figure out a way to actually love it. Like for example, for me, I enjoy marketing. I love marketing. I love content, all of it. And so like now I started posting a lot more. Now like, and I won't go too deep into it, but now like I have a content director who's done like incredible things for different people in the space. And so like now I'm going to be doing trial reels, like 30 trial reels a week being posted on top of the 2 regular reels a day. And I'm going to be doing podcasts and YouTube videos and all of it. And it's because I enjoy it. But fundamentally, all my content is about sales, which is something I don't enjoy. So I had to become good at sales first before I could make content about it. So that's where that belief like intertwines in my mind.
Yeah, bro, I agree. I love content as well, bro. I've been posting for 3 to 4 years now. Content's probably posting, making the stuff's pretty cool, bro. Especially when you've got a good team behind you.
100%.
Smashing it as well.
And it's fun because everybody's just running around like just doing stuff, and it's just a good time.
Bro, you see the guys who like Marlon. You see one of them guys online.
Yeah. The streamers.
Bro, they're living the life, man.
Yeah,
they just record and like make money from just a camera following them about. I mean, it's nice to a certain point until everyone starts following you about. But bro, that's pretty cool in my opinion. But I mean, jumping onto what you said before though, just doing stuff you don't feel like doing, but doing it anyway, is what's going to set you apart, right? And it's what a lot of guys are just like built. They don't do it, right? But if a lot of them did, then they would kill it. But that's what separates the people like yourself, myself, to the other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's about doing stuff when you don't feel like doing it, and just getting it done, bro. Which is good.
Exactly.
Which is good, bro. And I mean, with all of that said, bro, what's your goals for the future? Would you say with your business and stuff? What are you trying to aim for? Have you got one of them?
I think I had a realization very recently, because there was a friend, and I hope he doesn't see this. There's a friend from my old high school days that like I'm still like best friends with him, great guy, and he's having like a birthday party, right? And he told me the place, he told me the time, blah blah blah. And so I called the place, and I like paid for it and made the reservation and everything. And then I convinced him that I didn't pay for it, and I just spoke to the owner and got it for free. And I somehow managed to convince him of that. But what I realized doing that is like, you feel way better. For example, me paying for that, you feel way better paying for that versus if I spent $700, $800 on myself. Spending it on him was 1,000 times a better feeling. If I give $1,000 to charity versus $1,000 to, I don't know, get like a new light or something, it doesn't feel good. And so what I kind of started realizing from that is like, if you look at any of the most successful people on the planet, for me, if I'm already making 50, 60K a month profit, if I make another 50K a month profit on top of that, it's not really going to impact my quality of life. Like I've already got 3 penthouses. This is like my dream one. Like this is the one I wanted to get when I was like 50 years old, and I already have it. Like there's no real big impact until you get to the point where you're making like 500 grand a month profit, and now you can take like private jets and yachts and stuff like that, which frankly, I don't have like any massive interest in, right? And so the realization I had recently is like, I have to do it for somebody outside of myself and for people outside of myself rather than for me. Because here's the thing, like if you wake up one day and you're very tired or you're frustrated or angry, whatever it is, if you're doing it for yourself, your own self-interest, you won't work because you feel bad. If you're doing it for somebody outside of you or for a certain charity or for a certain person, if you wake up tired, it doesn't matter because it's not about you. It's about them. So you'll work anyways. And so that's the realization I had recently. And so now like I'm on a mission to make like sales and business education available to the youth completely for free. Because like last year I spent $60,000 on coaching, consulting, mentoring, and I realized that's just not viable for your average 16-year-old. Like they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
And so being able to break that barrier by creating this like mission, that's really fulfilled me and like pushed me forward. Financially, I would say I want to become an 8-figure entrepreneur before I'm 21. And so in the next like 3 to 4 years, I want to get to like 1.5 million a month revenue, which would be, I don't know, I think that's like 20 million a year, around there, 17. So that's what I want to do. And then number 2, I want to start a nonprofit, but I don't want it to be like a charity, just like asking people for money. I want it to be a company that's like self-sustaining, that can actually survive and thrive in the economy, except all the profit goes to the charities and like to foundations and stuff like that. Those are kind of like my main 2 goals financially over the next 3 or 4 years.
That's awesome, bro. I mean, that's the same here, right?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone who's exceeding, right, are doing it for themselves, right? There's obviously a little bit there where it's like, yeah, it'd be nice to have this, nice to have that, but that can't be. That's no like anyone who's up there, they're not doing it for themselves, bro. There's always something else, like you said there, right? You're doing it for charity.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're doing it for family. You're doing it for friends, right?
And that's an interesting point, because even when it comes to charity or like nonprofits or doing good stuff for other people, like there's always the question of, are you doing it for them or are you doing it because of how you feel when you help them? That's always like an interesting point. Because like if I give $1,000 to a charity or something, am I doing it because I'm doing it 100% to help that person, or am I doing it because I'm going to feel good helping them? There's always the distinction, because I think humans fundamentally are selfish, I believe. And if you look at like natural society, like a godless society, even where we're moving towards now, like, and I don't want to go too deep into this topic, but even if you look at like OnlyFans or stuff like that, like people shift very far away from morals and principles whenever there's an opportunity for them to make money and like have an easy life. And so I think humans fundamentally are selfish, and it's kind of the point of a human life is to move away from that and then be able to actually have an impact. And so even like, regardless if I do it for other people or I do it for the feeling I get helping other people, I think fundamentally it's basically the same thing. It's like if I do it because I feel good helping them, then I want to feel as good as possible out of selfish desire, so I'm going to try and give as much as possible. Versus if I'm just spending on myself, it's like I was saying earlier, I'm never going to feel as good as if I'm spending for somebody else. And feeling good is a very good driver. And so I'm going to want to work harder and do more and do more and do more because of the feeling I'm going to get from it, from giving the money away, from helping other people. And so I think there's like a mixed balance in between there.
Yeah, I reckon there's definitely a bit of both.
Yeah.
Like obviously, a lot of guys give money to help, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for myself, I've given a lot of stuff away. It's purely just to give them a hand, right? Like you just see a guy on the side of the street, some change or charity sort of thing. Or like a lot of people do it because, I don't know, they've suffered from it in the past as well, which is, it's good. You know what I mean? Like, it's finding what you really want to do, and that's the best thing as well. You probably hear it a lot. The more you give, the more you get.
Exactly. I believe in
Right,
that.
so yeah, so it's a good thing, right? And if you can help people, then that's even better at the same time.
Precisely.
Right, and that's awesome, bro. That's awesome. But I mean, just from a business point of view, do you hire people? Is that something you do?
Yeah.
How do you go around, like, for anyone who's watching this, looking to start their own business or expand it, how would you go around hiring someone to, I don't know, join your consulting team, or say for my fitness coaching, right? How would I go ahead and interview them, and what step by step would you use?
I think the 3 characteristics I look in people is work ethic, loyalty, and adaptability. Those are the 3. Loyalty, because if they're not loyal, as soon as somebody offers them a little bit more pay, they're gone. As soon as somebody offers them a different opportunity, they're gone. Work ethic, because work ethic will always trump everything else. If you have mental toughness and a work ethic, you don't have to be intelligent, you don't have to have skill sets, because you'll learn all of that. And then the third one's adaptability, because stuff will change, stuff will go wrong, especially if it's a smaller business, doing like under 300K a month, for example. Like, adaptability is key, because there will be a little shift in the marketing, or this person will leave the company, whatever it is. And if the person's not able to adapt, they'll fail. It's sink or swim. That's it. So those are the 3 main characteristics I look into. And I think fundamentally, in order for somebody to have those 3 characteristics at a high level, they have to be bought into you as a person, into you as a brand. For example, when I came up with that mission of wanting to make sales and business education available to everybody, like, I needed to build a business around that mission that supported it. So I wasn't going to sell coaching, I wasn't going to sell courses or any of that stuff, because that wouldn't fulfill my mission. But how could I still make a lot of money even though I'm helping all these people for free? And what I started realizing is, in the economy, in the marketplace, trained sales reps who are good and they're loyal and they're hardworking, that's one of the rarest resources. Every company I know is trying to look for those people, all of them. And so I realized, if I have this mission, if I develop these sales reps completely for free, and I make them hardworking, and they're loyal to me because they saw my content and they join my groups and they're communicating with me and they're showing up to calls and everything else, they're going through all my material, they're loyal to me. If all my material is constantly almost like hypnotizing them, in a sense, into having beliefs around working hard, around having mental toughness, around developing it themselves, around how to go from having a weak mindset because you grew up with an easy life like I did, into having a great mindset that allows you to push forward, and naturally they're becoming adaptable because I'm teaching them a broad spectrum of knowledge, which I think at the core, that's what adaptability is. Because if you only understand one thing, if I only knew sales, as soon as I'm getting lower quality leads, then it's like, okay, what the hell do I do now? But if I know marketing, and I know content, and I know branding, positioning, then I can go to the business owner and be like, hey guys, I know sales, but I also know marketing. The lead quality is low right now, and it's because we have this one issue with our positioning in the ads or in the organic content. And they can shift it. So I think adaptability, to a degree, is actually having a broad spectrum of knowledge to where you're able to combine them through, because when you combine 2 different things, that's called innovation.
Okay.
And so those are the 3 things I look for, and I think building a personal brand is honestly the easiest way to create all 3 of them, which is why I've done it.
Yeah, 100%. Personal brand changed my life. I'll tell you that now. I've done a lot of, just through posting, bro. I started off because I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And a lot of people laughing at me, telling me not to do this, not to do that. But you just got to get through it, bro. And people are going to be like that. There's always going to be someone who just gonna laugh at you because you're doing this or doing that. And now I'm the one laughing. You know what I mean? And so are you probably as
last
well.
laugh.
So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it's good. But I was actually gonna ask you, why do you actually wanna? Why do you want to help people for free who are young? Why do you want to do that?
When I was 16 last year, I spent $60,000 on just coaching, consulting, mentoring.
Okay.
And I realized, like, number one, that's not feasible for an average 16-year-old. Like, obviously, I didn't get it from my parents or anybody else. Like, I was spending every dollar that I made, spend, get money, spend it constantly to learn the skill sets until I got up to like 30 grand a month when I was 16, right? And that's when I kind of slowed down with the spending. That's number one. Number two, there was a lot of people that I started in business with at the same time who were in high school, who I saw fail. There's tons of people, even if you look at like high school or middle school or whatever it is, I don't know what you guys call it in the UK, but there's so many people who are unhappy, who genuinely hate their life. You see them sitting alone, they constantly, and you can read it in their body language. They're slouched, their heads down. They speak really soft. They don't have deep breaths. They clearly hate their life. They dislike it. But they don't see a vehicle of how to like actually get out of that and do something successful with their life and enjoy it. They don't have the vehicle. And so I believe it's my responsibility and my duty as a man to give them that vehicle. Because I've seen them and I've seen their struggle. And I can't look in their eye and be like, yeah, I know you're having all these issues and I know your life is fucking shit, because I was there at one point. Where it was like head down, just feeling sad, feeling tired constantly because I felt like I didn't fit in. So I can't look at the other people who are like that in their eyes and be like, look, this is how I can speak now. This is where I'm at now. But you don't get that. You don't get that knowledge. I just can't do that. And so that's why I built that mission around that.
Awesome, bro. That's good. And I mean, look, a lot of people will definitely. But when do you think you'll have that like set up? Do you think?
We're launching it in like a week and a half. So.
Oh really? So it's
yeah.
Gonna be soon.
Yeah, that's
awesome,
going to be the
bro.
free course, free group, everything, group coaching, all of it in one place. There's going to be offers that people can get on, like everything, completely for free.
Decent, bro. That's solid. That is solid, man. And I mean, with all the coaching side and consulting, so do you like dive into their business, run ads for them, take the sales calls, and implement the infrastructure, and do you hire people as well for like these companies? Or
so we have an internal team. So we have a guy named Austin Crispel. He's done some of like Hormozy stuff, like marketing, content and all that. And he got Jeremy Miner. I don't know if you know who he is. From zero to like where he is now with his social media and content and everything else. And so he's fantastic at what he does. And then we have another guy named Peter Liu, and he was the head copywriter for Dan Lok, and got Dan Lok from like zero to multiple millions a month. And then he was the head copywriter and eventually CMO for Seventh Level as well, which is that company that Yash and I were in that was doing $3.5 million a month. And so they're both part of our internal team. Austin specializes in organic marketing and Peter specializes in paid. And so whenever we go into a business, like Yash and I will review all their sales calls, all their tracking, all their metrics, data management, how they have like team huddles, end of days, beginning of days, like all that stuff. And then Peter and Austin will come in and review all their marketing, all their positioning. They'll review the first 5 minutes of every sales call to see how the prospects are getting on, because that usually tells you everything you need to know about the marketing just by reviewing those first 5 minutes. And so they'll do all of that, and we'll put together an entire audit of the entire company. And then from there, that's the first step, analysis. That's the first stage. The second stage is the implementation. And so Yash and I will go into the company, we'll sell the offer ourselves, we'll get the conversion rate typically up to like 40% or something is like a good benchmark. 40% is a good enough scale to get to 5 million a month easily at very high margins. And so we'll usually get the conversion rates to that point, and then we'll document everything. So like, what sales script were we using? What tracking were we using? What were we using for communication? And after we document everything, then we'll bring in a team of killer reps behind us, and they'll be managing and training the team, etc. And then they're just selling it, and they use the documents that we just put together. And then from there, we'll basically take a rev share on the entire business. So we'll take a percentage of it. We don't really do upfront fees or retainers or anything like that. I don't really believe in that. We'll just take a revenue share. That way we're both incentivized. We're like a partner in the business in a sense.
Yeah,
and
like performance-based.
Yeah.
That's awesome, bro. And I mean, because that's something similar to what I'm getting into. I mean, I'm already slightly into it already, but I mean, from like a point of view of like a consultant in a way, what would you like? I don't know. Just asking from my point of view as well.
Yeah.
Like obviously, I'm going into more helping like the fitness coaches
Yeah.
grow,
Which we have a lot
scale
of
their business.
as
Yeah,
clients.
there's a lot of exactly. So you work with a lot of guys, but what do you think works the best for the consultants who are in the fitness space?
I think my favorite model, and be clear, part of it is a bias, obviously, because like I'm better at sales and Yash is great at sales. And so part of it's biased, but I believe in having a structure where it's like as simple as possible. I think very first principles. And so like our clients, what we'll typically do, very, very simple. We'll just have ads into an opt-in, right? Into an opt-in, that's it. There's no book a call funnel, none of that stuff. Literally just a lead opt-in running paid advertising. And then from there, literally just have sales reps that are outbound dialing them and setting them up for sales calls, and then you just close them. It's the easiest, most simple strategy. There's no difference. The one thing I would add specifically for the fitness niche, because the response rates will usually be a little bit lower, because people, when they see the ad, something psychologically clicks in their brain where it's like, I need to make a change. That won't necessarily be there 3 hours later when you're speaking to them. And so what I would recommend, there's softwares like SendBlue and other softwares as well, where as soon as somebody fills in the opt-in form, like 2 minutes later, SendBlue will send them a message as if it were from you, and it'll look like it's from an iPhone. So it'll be like a blue text bubble, right? Okay. And so you can use that, and the response rate on that is like incredible. It's like over 90% on every message sent out. So it's extremely high, and then you can start a two-way conversation from there, set them up for the sales call, and then close. That's what I believe in, and then you need to have nurturing processes. So after you set up a sales call, you need to have an indoctrination sequence, which it could be a mini VSL, talking about like, there needs to be some kind of unique positioning. So it could be like, if you've been trying to lose weight for XYZ amount of time, and you're between X and Y age range, and you've tried this, and you've tried this, and you've tried this, and it hasn't worked, here's why, for example. And then you go into like, what's different about you, your positioning. Because you need to get them nurtured to you before they ever get on a sales call. That's the first step of an indoctrination sequence, in my opinion. And the second step is just testimonials. That's what I would do. The testimonials, I would customize them. So I'd have like, for example, somebody who's above 30 years old trying to gain weight, somebody who's above 30 years old trying to lose weight, somebody who's under 30 trying to gain weight, somebody who's under 30 trying to lose weight, for example. So you could have like 4 buckets. And then if somebody fits in one of those 4 categories, after you set them up for the sales call, then you send them a testimonial that'll resonate with them, for example, because it'll make them feel like, oh, he understands me. So that's what I recommend in terms of sales process for like fitness companies. I think it's the easiest thing in the world.
Okay. And then do you work with any like consultants specifically to help fitness guys grow, or is it specifically just the fitness companies? If that makes sense.
Fitness companies for now. I mean, I'd be open to working with a consultant, but the issue is like a consultant working with a consultant. Who's consulting for another business. It gets a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A little bit
No,
weird.
I get it. It's one of them. I know a few guys who do something like that. They're a consultancy, but they help another consultant with like it's weird. It's like
because in my opinion,
coaches,
it's like
coaching a coach. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the middleman. It's like, okay, if you're consulting a consultant, just cut out the consultant who doesn't know what the hell he's doing, and then you just be the consultant. Like,
it's bro, I get it. It's quite funny. It's the way because I mean, when I first really got into it, I was like, so the coaches are coaching a coach, and how to coach. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of just trying to just bring it in a bit, and now I'm like, all right, cool, I get it now.
It makes sense.
It's quite funny.
It makes sense from a coaching perspective, in my opinion. So if you're just coaching, then I don't think that's terrible. But if you're consulting, I think it's a little bit different, because the point of a consultant is you're implementing systems and processes. And so if you have somebody implementing systems and processes into a business, and you're consulting them on how to implement systems and processes, then they clearly just don't know what they're doing. Versus you can have a coach, like I could be a sales coach, for example, which I'm not and I never will be, but I could be a sales coach, and I could hire a marketing coach, and I don't think that's any problem, because I'm trying to learn other skill sets, which I still do.
Yeah, that's awesome, bro. That's good. Yeah, because I mean, from my point of view, I'm just thinking like, how could I keep expanding what I'm doing, if that makes sense? And that's always the thing, right? It's always, what can you do to get that one step better, right? I bet with like your business, you're always doing something each day to just get that little bit better each day, and then eventually it pays off. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But when it pays off, bro, it's the best. It's the best feeling.
Exactly.
It's the best feeling.
It is.
But yeah, I mean, with your business now and just in general, bro. I mean, you said you're not very. Would you say you're a materialistic type of guy, or not really?
That's a hard question. I like being around things of value because it makes me feel valuable and that makes me perform better. So like if I was doing this podcast in a little hut without a roof, like I wouldn't feel very convicted.
Yeah.
But because like I'm in my new place that I just got and like I have a nice watch on, everything else, like I feel like, okay, I clearly know what I'm talking about. Let's do it. So I don't believe in materialistic things as in like, I'm going to get this and I'm going to feel like I'm going to be this great person. Yeah. Like I want this new Rolex. Like I have these 3 Rolexes, but I want this new one. Like I don't believe in that. But I do believe in like, if you have nice things, you'll feel more confident in yourself. So it'll make your communication a lot better. And number 2, it'll inspire people. There's this story that I heard one time. I forget from who, but it was a guy who like, he does coaching, whatever, but it's very like, I'd say holistic in a sense. It's not about all the materialistic things. And he started coaching this guy who was making like no money, and he allowed him to join for free because he really believed in him. And eventually got him up to $100K a month, right? And they didn't speak for a while. That was kind of their goal that they set out. And then they kind of just didn't speak for a while. And that coach saw the same guy with the Lamborghini like 3 months later. And he went to him and he was like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Like you made me a promise you weren't going to become materialistic. You weren't going to do all these things. Like you were going to do it to help people. And the guy told him, no, you got it all wrong. I have this Lamborghini because whenever I go back to my old town where all these kids are broke, they don't have enough money, they don't have enough food, they don't have enough water, they have nothing, and they're living difficult lives, they walk up to that car and they take selfies with me and they take pictures with me. And you see this massive smile on their face, and then you hear them say, I can do this too. And I think that was a major lesson because I don't think it's about being materialistic. I think it's about the intent behind it. If you're materialistic with the intent of I want to help these people and I want to inspire them, why is that a bad thing? It's a great thing. But if you're materialistic with the intent of like, I want this next thing and I'm not happy yet. I need a new penthouse. And I'm not happy yet. I need this new watch. I need this private jet. Then that's never going to fulfill you. It's like an ongoing cycle. So I wouldn't say I'm materialistic from the perspective of I want more and more and more and more. I think I'm materialistic from the perspective of like I want to be able to help and inspire. And I just like nice shit. You can't blame me.
Yeah. He doesn't.
Right?
He doesn't, bro. I mean, you still got to enjoy yourself. But the fact, bro, me personally, I don't think I've ever heard something like that. And that, to be honest, that makes a lot of sense. To be honest, like it's good, bro. I mean, I feel like you learn a lot in these past years, bro.
Yeah, because you go through those periods where it's like, I want to get to this goal so badly. And then you get the goal, and it feels good for 12 hours maybe.
Yeah.
And then it's poof, it's gone.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you need the next thing. And eventually you hit a point where it's like, between every progression, you learn a new lesson. When I first started, and I wanted to make my first 10 grand a month, for example, when I was a regular high school kid, I stopped hanging out with any of the old people. I sat completely alone at school. There was a hall called AG Hall in that high school. I would sit there on a little bench every single day, completely alone. Didn't talk to a single person until I got to 10 grand a month. That taught me a lesson. You get this period where you realize, I want to be successful. I can't be around these people, but you're also not good enough yet to be around the people you want to be around. So you're like in a middleman position where you have to be completely lonely. And I did that. And I was completely lonely. And then eventually I got to the 10, 15, 20 grand a month. And then I was able to kind of start speaking with more people doing 50 grand a month or 100 grand a month. And then eventually when I got to that point, then I realized I need to shut the hell up. I need to focus. I need to stop hanging out with these people, stop going to different restaurants or parties with them, whatever. Just leave it behind. And I need to go back into that zone mentally. So that's when I started taking calls for 18 hours a day. I got a penthouse across from the office, so it was literally just walk across the street. Every morning, my routine, I would wake up at 4:30 a.m. I would do a cold plunge when it was freezing outside, not because it's going to magically make you more money, but just because I didn't want to do it. If you do something you don't want to do, again, you build a part of your brain. Exactly. There's a part of your brain, I saw this on the Huberman Lab podcast, there is a literal part of your brain that determines your willpower. And every time you do something that you don't want to do, that part of your brain expands. And every time you go a day without doing something that you don't want to do, it shrinks. And that's like an actual thing. It's a part of your brain.
Yeah.
And so the more you can develop it, the bigger it can become, the better. People talk about like, they see online and they're like, oh, everybody doing these cold plunges and waking up at 4 a.m., it's stupid, like it doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't make you more money, but that's not the point. It builds you as a person. It makes you mentally stronger. And so eventually I went through months of that because I was like, great, I'm at 100K a month, but I can't speak with the people doing $1 million a month. And then after that couple of months of just intense focus, now I was managing a sales organization with my business partner, doing $3.5 million a month. Now I can speak to guys doing $1 million a month because I have value to provide them. And so I think there's those periods of time and you learn a lesson in between every one.
Yeah. And adding to your point there, it's so true, bro. Like Pete, because obviously on TikTok and stuff, so I've got quite a large following base and I've done a lot of content stuff. And when it was cold in the UK at the time, I did like a 90-day challenge every single day, cold plunge as soon as I wake up in the morning. I recorded it every single day, right? And I know there was people messaging me saying, look, cold plunges aren't good for this, good for that. But I was like, look, you're missing the point.
Yeah.
I made a video and I was like, you're missing the point. It's not, look, don't get me wrong, it's good for sometimes I do it after a gym session or whatever. It's good for recovery, don't get me wrong, but I don't do it for that, right? I purely do it because, one, I don't want to do it, right? So I know it will make me better and make me stronger. And two, it's a mindset thing.
Exactly.
Right? If you can take yourself out of your comfort zone each day, and even with football, right? That's why me personally, I'll keep playing football my whole life. I'll join a new team, whatever, because what it does as well, I'm training with new guys a lot of the time. I'm meeting new people, setting myself new challenges, right? And it's taking me out of my comfort zone. So I don't ever feel like I'm comfortable, because that comfort kills, right? Comfort kills, you know that, right?
Yeah.
As soon as you get comfortable, that's when stuff just goes, and then you're gone. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's exactly that, bro.
And even on that point, like a lot of people, they don't even consider this. It's like comfort, the time when it actually comes out. A lot of people, they get started in business or started in sales and they have a dream, started in football even, right? And they have this dream. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do that. The comfort shows up whenever it gets difficult, because there's always that concept of like, you're going to feel tired. You're going to feel like shit. One more day. Next day, you feel tired. You feel terrible. You haven't made money. Your coach just screamed at you. One more day. You feel like shit again. You don't want to do it. You don't want to get up. You don't want to get up at 4 a.m. to go train. One more day. And every single day, every day you break through to the next one, somebody else fell off that day. And it's a last man standing game. That's all it is. That's business, that's football, that's success. It's last man standing. Who fell off and who didn't? And that relates exactly to that point, because, and David Goggins talks about this, whenever things get very difficult, there's always that question that pops up in your mind. And it's the, why am I even doing this? And it's the most dangerous question. And if you don't have a good answer to that question when it pops up, you will fail. You will give up. You will go into the comfort zone. Because the difficult part is just too much. And I think from a willpower perspective, even the way you take those actions, going back to the cold plunges, it's like, if you're somebody who every day you feel like you want to eat a burger and fries and you know you have a game tomorrow, you want to drink a milkshake, and you do it. You go home and you jerk off. You feel like doing something, you play video games. If you're that kind of person, when that next day comes up of that one more day, you're going to give up. Because that's what you've trained your mind to do, to give up, to not do what it takes. But if you're somebody who every morning at 4 a.m., he gets up, he does a cold plunge, even though he doesn't want to do it. I used to literally time it to make it more difficult for me, because I used to be like, I don't want to do it, and then I'd force myself after like 5 minutes. So instead I started setting a timer where I would get in the cold plunge within 90 seconds of waking up. And it wasn't in my unit because I had the penthouse, but the rooftop was where the cold plunge was. So I'd have to run up the stairs, sprint up the stairs, where it's like 40 degrees Fahrenheit outside, get into the cold plunge. It was a 35-degree cold plunge. It was like really, really cold. And get in there within 90 seconds. When you can do that, and you can do 18 hours of straight calls without even liking sales, when that one more day comes up, you're going to push through the next fucking day because you have the willpower. But if your entire life...
easy.
Exactly. And you get that as a footballer as well. Like if your entire life is just doing whatever you feel rather than being productive, whenever that next moment comes up of what I feel like quitting. but logically I know I shouldn't, but I feel like it. So if your logic and your productivity is stronger than the feeling, you won't quit. But if you're constantly nurturing how you feel and making decisions based off it, you will. You'll quit. You'll fail. You won't be successful.
100%. 100%, bro. It's, yeah, and that's like the be-all, end-all for a lot of people. If you can't do stuff that you're not comfortable with doing, then you're not gonna make it. Simple as that. You've got to do things when you don't feel like training. You've got to go to the gym. You've got to eat the right food, right? And look, if you are, I mean, from your point of view, say someone is really, really struggling to get over an addiction, or they can't wake up each morning, what piece of advice would you give them?
The piece of advice I would give is that you need to build confidence in yourself. And the way you build confidence, it's not listening to motivational videos or anything. The way you build confidence is internal. It's you say you're going to do something and you do it. It's I say I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow, and no matter what, I can feel like shit, I can feel like anything, I will wake up at 5 a.m. Because even if you don't feel good doing it, again, it doesn't matter what you feel. If you don't feel like getting out of bed, who gives a shit? I don't put importance on what I feel. I put importance on what needs to get done. And so if every time I know I need to do something and I tell myself I'm going to do it, I will build confidence and I'll start trusting myself again. Where people mess up is they'll tell themselves, I want to get up at 5 a.m. and I'm going to do this, and tomorrow's going to be the best day, and I'm going to do this video and this thing and this thing. And they don't do any of it. So subconsciously, they're literally telling themselves, I will say I'm going to do something and I won't do it. I can't believe myself. That's what they're telling themselves.
Yeah.
I would rather say I'm going to do this one little thing or these two little things or these three little things and get them done, rather than telling myself I'm going to do 10 things and get none of them done. So I would say the best way to build confidence in yourself, to actually be able to get out of bed and do all those things, is like set very small goals, mini targets of an input that's going to get done. And just don't allow yourself to fail. Just do it. But don't set those targets too big to where it's like too difficult. It could be at the very beginning. If your life is completely fucked and you have no sense of self-consciousness or no sense of self-discipline, then maybe the things you set is I'm going to wake up at 7 a.m., I'm going to drink a gallon of water tomorrow, and I'm going to do 50 push-ups throughout the day. The smallest thing. And you do that every single day for 7 days, and you don't let yourself fail. You do not go to sleep until you get it done. It does not matter. Then maybe that second week, you ramp it up a little bit. I'm going to listen to an hour of business educational content. I'm going to set a name for my business. I'm going to decide on a business model. I'm going to do 50 outreaches. I'm going to reach out to 50 people. And you do that because you built a little bit of discipline, a little bit of willpower in that first week. You've started teaching yourself, I say I'm going to do something and I do it. So now you have confidence in yourself. You have conviction. And so then you just go to the next thing. And that stacks up and it stacks up and it stacks up. And you start having belief in yourself again. That's how I did it. Then the third week, you do a little bit more. Fourth week, a little bit more. Until eventually, you're a month in, and now you actually have control over what you do. Because you do it based off logic and productivity, not based off emotion and what you feel. That's how I recommend you build that self-discipline.
Yeah.
So you become great.
Awesome. Bro, it's like anything as well, right? Even, it's like going to the gym. The more you go to the gym, the more you lift them weights, the stronger you get. But say you have a few days off, that's when it can drop off quite a lot as well. That's what I've noticed with myself.
Exactly.
Is you can smash the next 6 months, right? The next whatever, right? All it takes is one bad week, and that can push you back a big chunk.
Exactly.
Right? So it's about building that discipline, building that consistency, and just sticking to it. And I mean, a few ways. I mean, I've got a few things in my mind, but is there any other, like, I mean, by just having the right people around you as well would definitely help with that. I guess we're having your business partners definitely on those days you didn't feel like doing it. You just did it anyway because you had someone next to you doing it as well. I guess little things like that. But do you think there's anything else that you think is a good idea to just like become part of your life if you can?
I think environment, definitely important. I think some kind of sport or exercise is necessary. It's a requirement. Whether it's working out or running or, I don't know, playing some sport, whether it's looking up online, like nearby pickup games for basketball or soccer, whatever it is, like finding some form of like physical competition, because you need to nurture your competitiveness. That will make you win. That's number one. And then I think, building up like small little goals. I think those small little goals should start with yourself and your own self-discipline, not necessarily business specifically, not necessarily sports specifically, but like even if it's just waking up at a certain time or hugging 3 people a day, like, I don't know, just doing something and doing it every single day that makes you better. I think that's key. I think switching the content that you consume. When you say environment, when you say people you're around, that's absolutely key. What people don't consider is it's not just the people you're physically around, but it's what you let into your mind. Because if you're constantly letting in, you're just constantly listening to rap music of people talking about doing drugs and drinking, and then when you're watching videos, it's some absolute brain rot waste of time video that isn't going to get you anywhere. Exactly. You fall into it. It's a habit. But if you're listening, you can still watch YouTube and stuff, especially if you're still hooked to that and you can't get off of it, then you just switch the content you listen to. You can watch like edutainment content, where it's like a little bit educational, but it's still entertaining. You can watch content like that. You can watch even videos that are like inspiring, of some kid talking about his journey, watching podcasts like these, where you hear how somebody else did it. You learn, you intake information, but it's still entertaining. You're still learning, you're getting better.
Exactly.
So I think switching the content you listen to on a day-to-day basis, I think that's key. And that goes back to what you were saying, the environment, the people you're around. Yeah. And then I think picking up some kind of form of physical adaptability, whatever it is, whether it's a gym or it's a sport.
Exactly. I mean, soccer, football, whatever we call it nowadays, but that's been obviously a massive part of, I guess, both of our journey, right?
1,000%.
With anything, I even had a good one as well, was you see your For You page, because obviously everyone's got their swipe, but if you can change that algorithm to make sure that the only thing that pops up is motivational stuff, business stuff, none of that brain rot rubbish, then that's also going to help, right? Obviously you said the YouTube side, everything, but these small things I think a lot of people take for advantage, right? They don't think, all right, by just changing my algorithm on TikTok, it's not going to do much, but it will, right? It's these little things it's these tiny habits that you possess each day. Like, these are the things that are generally your make or break, right? And it's like you said as well, your environment. Yeah. I reckon you could look at your friend group or look at someone's friend group and you could tell them where they're going to be in the next few years.
And I can't even look at them because they're working the whole day. That's the thing.
Exactly, bro.
Exactly.
I'll tell you what, I've lost loads of friends, bro. Even just purely because we're on a completely different journey, right? Yeah. And they're not, I'm not trying to say I'm better than them, but they're not.
But no, you are.
They're not.
You are.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You don't want to say it because it sounds egotistical or arrogant, but it's the truth. And it's not better from a soul perspective, I was created better. That's arrogant and that's bullshit. But it's better from the perspective of, if you're doing more with your life, you are better. That's just how it is. I had a kid over yesterday, an old high school friend, his name's Isaac, and I recorded a YouTube video with him where it was making a high school kid his first $500 in 24 hours, and he has no business experience, no sales experience, nothing. We didn't hit it. He made $400 yesterday. It was in 3 hours, right? But the thing he said at the end, I did a mini interview with him, and he was I was what was the main things you took away, the biggest difference you saw? And he was how you and Yash and your videographer, how you guys carry yourself. You walk different, you eat different, you're more efficient, you do more stuff, you're working the whole day, there's no breaks, there's no differences. And he was that's the biggest thing I noticed. And he was it makes sense why you guys are so successful, and all the people I'm around aren't. And that goes back to the environment thing, because if you're constantly around people who walk a certain way, they act a certain way, they move a certain way, they eat a certain way, their efficiency is different, they schedule differently, they have different hours, then you're going to start to mold into that. And that is environment. That is environment. When you're scrolling, exactly what you were saying, when you're scrolling, if your entire page is people talking about how many hours they're working and what they're doing, that becomes normal for you. You start viewing 16 hours a day as a normal thing. You start viewing going to train on the pitch alone 2 times a day as a normal thing. You start eating healthy, that's a normal thing. And when that becomes your normal, the results that you get become the normal in alignment with that. And that ends up being extraordinary.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. It's, bro, these little things are so important. So important. And had another question for anyone who's, let's say, 16, right?
Yeah.
They hate school, they just can't stand it. They sit at the back of the class, fall asleep, whatever, right? What piece of advice would you give them?
Let me think. I want to give a good piece of advice. I would say, don't think that it's about you. It's about the environment you're around. And I'll give you an example. There's a kid named Russell Sage. I started coaching when he was making like $1,000 a month. I don't do any coaching anymore, so nobody fucking DM me or do any of that bullshit. But he was making $1,000 a month. He was 16 years old. Last month, he's 17. He did $170,000 cash collected. Right? And this kid, respectfully, Russell, if you're watching this, he acts like an idiot day to day. He's the guy who sits at the back of the class and has F's in every class. That's it. Who just talks about like stupid shit. That's it. But he did $170,000 last month because it was about the vehicle. The vehicle of school wasn't his vehicle. And people don't get this very often. School, college, it's just a vehicle. Like people hate on coaching or course sellers or stuff like that. I don't do it. The reason I don't hate on it and I still buy it is because think about university. If you have 10 people go to university, one of them is going to graduate, probably more, and still not be able to find a job. He's going to be unemployed. Or finds a job making 20 grand, 30 grand a year. It's nothing. Broke. So college is just a vehicle. But then there's somebody else who ends up getting out of it making 500 grand a year, 3-5 years later. Because it's a vehicle. Business, sales, marketing, it's just another vehicle. Russell, he couldn't stand school as a vehicle. I couldn't either. Bro, if I was in a classroom right now, I would hate my life. Hate it. Right? But Russell, he found a different vehicle just like I did, which was business, which was sales, which was marketing. Something that he could actually enjoy, he could obsess over, he could like. And so I would say my advice to that person, to summarize it, would be don't let other people tell you something about yourself. Don't let other people call you stupid or an idiot or retarded because you get bad grades. Because it's not the truth. You're just in a bad vehicle. But as soon as you start believing what they tell you, you will believe it. And if you believe it, you will feel terrible about yourself. You will believe you can't be successful. And if that's subconsciously in your mind, you never will succeed. So just make that clear in your own mind. It's not you. It's the vehicle that you're in. And you just need a new vehicle. And you just got to get to work. That's the only thing I could say.
That's good. You need a new vehicle. I like that one.
Exactly.
That's a good one. Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And even with me, right, I've invested almost over... I mean, I've only been in this game around just under 6 months. And, like, my new thing is, like, investing in myself and just investing in courses, mentors and stuff like that. I've almost done, obviously not as much as you so far, but like, I've almost done 20K in the last, 5 to 6 months in just myself, bro. Tell me that 7 months ago, I would have laughed in your face. But it was like, you know what I mean? It's the new way.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, from my point of view and what it's done for me is crazy, bro. Like, it's... Because what it's done as well, it's like, by investing in a mentor, by investing in someone to help you reach your goal, you're not just like, obviously, you're going to make more money, right, if you're with a good one, but you're saving yourself time.
Yeah.
Right? And time, as you know and everyone else knows in business, is one thing you can't get back.
Yeah.
Right? So you've got to spend that time wisely. And by investing in a mentor, they tell you every single thing you need to know step by step in order to get you to where you want to get to. Right? And I've had that literally, I've been speaking with a few guys like yesterday, a few other guys that I'm probably going to be helping out soon with their fitness coaching. Right? And one thing I was saying to them was, look, you can, because I did it, I YOLO'd it for a while, right? I was doing all the fitness stuff, trying to figure it out. I got nowhere. I made like £500 in 2 months, right? That's like 600 USD in like 2 months. I was broke. My first month, just by implementing a few things that I didn't have, I knew, but I didn't know how to do it properly and stuff like that. And as soon as I invested in a mentor, I went from making $300 in 1 month to doing my first 7K month, and then from there it's just like it's built up. You know what I mean? And that's the power of mentorships nowadays. Just investing in mentors, bro. 100%. It's the aim of the game. obviously be careful what kind of course you get. There are scammers out there, but
Be very careful.
you know what I mean. You know what I
Yeah.
mean. But Andres, we'll wrap it up there, bro. I know you're a busy guy. You know,
Yeah.
I know you've got meetings and stuff to get to. Not like any ordinary 17-year-old, but we love it. We love it, man. We love it. And look, you inspire a lot of people, bro. Especially
Thank
if
you,
they're
man.
watching
I
this
appreciate you for having me on.
and stuff
Spreading
like
the
that,
word.
bro. But yeah, I mean, look, shout out your page, and yeah, just tell everyone where they can find
Yeah,
you.
you can go to Instagram, just look up my name, Andres Contreras, and I'll pop up. And I'm going to be launching that group in like a week and a half. Again, like I said earlier, giving everything away for free. So if you want to see kind of how I did everything, join there and yeah, just get it all.
Awesome, bro. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on.
100%, bro.
It's been
I
a pleasure.
appreciate you.
We'll meet up
Great day,
soon.
brother.
We'll meet up soon, bro.
Yes, we're in London.